On May 6, 2024, residents of a homeless encampment in Milligan's Pond were served 24-hour eviction notices by the City of Barrie. The park has, for many years, been used as temporary respite as it is secluded, relatively safe, and close to downtown. The difference this time is that on January 27, 2023, at the Regional Municipality of Waterloo, in the Ontario Superior Court, Justice Michael J Valente ruled in favour of homeless encampments being permitted to remain on public land. He also ordered that the rights of residents were protected under Section 7 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which guarantees life, liberty, and security of the person. That ruling overrides all city bylaws that ban encampments, and it greatly reduces the powers of bylaw enforcement and police officers who are ordered to evict the tent and hut-dwelling residents. That ruling means that this attempt to evict, as undertaken by the City of Barrie, was unlawful. The current mayor and council of Barrie have shown a strong desire to fix the issue of homelessness by blaming the victims, rather than by working to find a constructive solution. It was less than a year ago, in June of 2023, 5 months after the order of Justice Valente became legal precedent across Ontario, that the elected representatives of our municipality attempted to slip through without notice a draconian bylaw that would see Good Samaritans and caring groups punished for providing the unsheltered with food, money, clothing, and other necessities of life. That clandestine attempt to bypass the Valente ruling and the wishes of local taxpayers was defeated by a public protest, which drew media attention and humiliation from across Ontario. It also divided the city, with groups like the Greater Barrie Chamber of Commerce supporting the proposed action, and people of good social conscience rallying against it. The primary reason for the growing homeless population is eviction, which is a result of the high and rising cost of rent, which is grossly out of proportion to the area's income potential. That imbalance is an issue where the mayor and council should focus their resources instead of acting against the victims of the one-sided economic abuse of human rights. Milligan's Pond and other encampments provide the unsheltered community with a temporary hamlet in which they can work together to survive the winter using tents and makeshift huts. These evictions serve no purpose other than to harass and intimidate the poorest and most downtrodden members of our society. Without these encampments, each person is on their own, living on the streets of downtown Barrie, unprotected, vulnerable, exposed, and visible. Meanwhile, when living in the encampments, they have relative safety in numbers, they are mostly hidden from the easily offended sector of our society, and they are easily accessible by charitable outreach programs and other services.
Ryan's Hope is an organization my husband and I started in memory of our son Ryan. Ryan lived with mental illness and he self-medicated with street drugs as the pharmaceutical medications did not work for him. Unfortunately, on November 29, 2020, we lost Ryan to a toxic drug poisoning. Ryan was a member of this community. He had a lot of friends that were homeless, and so in his memory and his honor, we advocate for and support people living with mental illness, substance use issues, and experiencing homelessness. Last year, January of 2023, there was a court ruling in Ontario Superior Court that ruled that municipalities could not evict encampment residents if there was not enough shelter beds in the community, because it was a violation of the encampment residents' Charter of Rights and Freedoms under Section 7. If there is no beds in a community for couples, if there is no beds in a community that are low barrier enough to meet the needs for people living with serious mental health and addiction issues, then people have a right to make their own shelters in their own communities and encampments.
So they gave me 24 hours yesterday. As you can see, there's more than myself in this encampment, and there was nobody home to receive the 24-hour notice. Some of them got an hour, some of them don't even know they have their notice, and they're ready to send in a cleanup crew to throw everything we own, all our belongings, everything we've achieved to get back that we've lost in life. They're ready to throw it all in the garbage. There's sources and help out there, but a lot of them aren't giving the supports we need. It's just going to be the same thing. They're going to bounce us all over the city until there's no more moving. And then somebody's going to get aggravated with it, and it's going to get out of hand, and that's when the police come in and they arrest the people, and that's the end of that, right? That's where they push you to your limit. We don't want to go to our limits. We just want some half-decent housing, some answers to why we can't achieve housing and anybody with strings can.
Some of our friends can't look out for themselves, so they need somebody to help them. And that's essentially what I've been doing for the last 4 years with Ryan's Hope. I know exactly what they're going through. We all need help at some point. Most times, and maybe just an ear to listen to. There's no support in this county for the mental health and the addictions. We all get judged by it. It's disgusting how much we get judged. I was on both sides of this rule. When I was employed, for a courier company delivering down here, I'd seen everybody that I know now that is homeless. I never judged even back then, but I was kind of curious. And then I caused a mistake on myself, and I became part of the family, part of that street family. The protesting is never going to end. We're going to keep going, and mayor after mayor, if they're going to keep continuing this way, just leave the encampments alone. Leave us alone. We're not causing no harm. We created a little home, a little community. Just leave us all alone, essentially. If not, then if you're going to keep fighting, we'll keep fighting.
Yeah, we just got news that the city is backing down on evicting people from encampments at this time. We'd like to thank the York Region Community Legal Clinic for supporting us and sending a letter to council to advise them that these actions would be illegal. We're very thankful for that. This is a win for our friends, a temporary win for them. It is illegal. In Ontario Superior Court, it was ruled to evict people from encampments when we don't have permanent or enough shelter beds. But our long-term goal, obviously, is permanent housing that is safe and affordable and supportive for all the people living in encampments right now. And our other goal would be that the city come out and, council and the people that are making the decisions actually speak to the people living in these encampments and see what they need and how they can be supported. One of the things I do want to point out is that it's cheaper to house people than to keep people in homelessness. So the cost of actually for enforcement of all of these things, that doing evictions and coming and clearing out encampments and policing and all of those extra costs related to people living on the streets, like extra healthcare costs and stuff like that, if that money was invested in safe, supportive housing, we would actually be saving the city money, and we would actually be benefiting our most vulnerable community members.
On Saturday, May 25, 2024, Ryan's Hope will be leading a citywide march to end homelessness. The march will start at the Spirit Catcher at 10 a.m. and will end at around 1 p.m. at Heritage Park for a community picnic with our homeless friends. This is a great opportunity for our tax-paying citizens to meet the people our mayor and council seem determined to villainize, and for those with questions to obtain answers both from Ryan's Hope advocates, and from those being most affected directly by the draconian dictates of our elected municipal representatives. Your vote matters, as does your understanding of this situation that is not the fault of the victims.